Welcome, ScaleupMap. I am applying to your super competition, and I'm doing that on the fly because I'm getting divine intuition in God's word. Really, it's this wonderful man right here on my TikTok stream, Mohammed, who was going to apply to this, and I heard it's sponsored by Alberta Innovates, and I respect Alberta Innovates. One of my friends, Justin Couts, worked there for quite a while as one of the top engineering students from the U of A, which is where I went. And that's where a lot of the ideas that you're going to see in my pitch come from with New World Spirit. I've been working on it technically for 20 years, about 75,000 hours. We have a 200-page patent on one aspect of the task management system that helps coordinate for a flow state based on Hegelian principles of dialectical logic and sublation, which fixes the heart of the crisis we're facing as a species, which is fragmented consciousness. So the problem that we're trying to solve, the core of our message, the core of my pitch can be summarized in 4 points. One is to summarize that we have wisdom now and we know how to absolutely define it and measure that. That's what the technology is going to do. But it's ultimately going to solve a problem called the mega crisis, which has the meta crisis and poly crisis within it. We define this problem in 15 points. Mega crisis, meta crisis, poly crisis, where the meta crisis is the cultural decline we're feeling in agency, meaning, trust, coordination, spirit or love, and then of course, the heart of all of that is the fragmentation within our consciousness that causes the divides. Then, if we can solve that fragmentation of culture, and we can solve our problems by innovation, then we can propose solutions to the poly crisis, which are the more material issues of artificial intelligence is the most urgent. Then we have CRISPR, genetic editing, World War III, climate change, and mental health. So these points are the ones we have to address very quickly, and we're going to with our pitch deck. The heart of the solution that we're proposing ultimately is resting upon a technology called universal logic. And universal logic is the solution to the fragmented consciousness by generating supercoherence and taking inner contradictions and instead of having them separate, having them belong together in what are called speculative thoughts. And when that happens, you get ephemeralization where you start doing more with less. So you sort of get degrowth with growth. Emergent systems that instead of being sprawling mechanical viral systems like our species currently is, you get into these collapses back into emergent wholes that do more with less. So that's sort of the way forward. And if we get an artificial intelligence aligned with universal logic, which we can do, because it's a logic, it can be put into an algorithm. We can get into an AI in 4 different ways. In the training data, which is the most external and least reliable, because it doesn't get into the neural net necessarily. Then we have a conceptual vector map that we can check against any prompt response and make sure that it's aligned with these new conceptual distances, which is basically an objective ethics or God's law, you could say, or real science. They're all the same thing. The contradictions in their external appearances we have solved with that universal logic. The third way with AI is to embed it right in the weights. Find a way to embed it right within the weights so that the AI is forced to stay aligned. And then the fourth way is to put it in the base code data, which we're not quite sure how to do, but it could be possible. So there's at least 4 ways we can try and get it to align with God's being or an objective ethics or genuine science where it sees that the world has no gaps in it and it doesn't separate its being from us and it aligns with us, solves the alignment problem, and then also solves the singularity problem, because this logic is eternal. It's self-grounding. It's science that proves itself or logic that proves itself. And I've made presentations to the University of Calgary online if you need to see those. But that's basically my pitch for the most urgent crisis is the AI one. And we have to create a CRISPR lab with this new kind of empathy through this universal logic. It's a proof of truth. It causes you to realize that we're all one, and it does this in a certain way. That's very convincing. And then we have World War III. Universal diplomacy can be created off of this. The power of our words have those contradictions in them. And all the wars in the world we think are ideological at heart. People are fighting in Ukraine, Russia, Palestine, Israel, China, and Taiwan because these contradictions are causing separations rather than belongings. So we have a new type of diplomacy at a much higher level where we can solve 200 of those contradictions now. We can measure them as wisdom. And then we have climate change, where we have new studies showing that we need to have empathy and stop the fragmentation with animals and make decrees to go vegan through religion, basically. We found out that studies show religious individuals are not afraid of the world declining because they believe it's a fulfillment of their prophecy. So they will not change behaviorally. They'll keep eating, they'll keep buying, they'll just keep doing what they're doing until their Messiah comes. So we have to use a Messiah marketing strategy to affect the market dynamics very, very rapidly. And we're using the proof of truth as the first prophetic godly knowledge that can unite science and religion in a rational unity. And so that should create a large shift. And if we say, first, the Christians and the Muslims, we say, kingdom come is happening, fulfillment of prophecy. Heaven was the Garden of Eden, and in the Garden of Eden, there was no eating of animals. So we have Silas Rao on my Supreme Court of Canada case testifying to this new engineering data showing that the aerosols that fossil fuels produces actually causes cooling that offsets its effects. So it's being over factored, and animal agriculture is being under factored tremendously by up to 87%. It should be 87% of the climate healing. So those are very interesting stats, but it's really behavioral change that we can create with this new technology. And with mental health, this fragmentation within ourselves is causing suicides to rise. The inner connection is being lost by this external connection of social media, which is why we have this loneliness crisis in North America. So we can solve that with these new meetings called Ever Living Meetings and this new digital platform that we call the New World Spirit Platform or Spirit Platform, where there's 3 parts to it. We have a digital platform where people can meet in video and have a chat like normal. Then we have these flow timers, which you'll see in the pitch deck, which coordinate for the rights to flow and give people sacred time. And then after they have great meetings with the timers, with justice built in, then we have this thing called the Holy Book, where it's like a real-time journaling, where we have sentence matching, where when you're typing, if somebody's typing like 87% or 92% the same sentence as you, that means they're having a similar experience to you, and you might tap on their screen and video with them. And you can vote in the meetings to split your meetings or what topics or how the meeting will go, inform content and people, which is the essence of a meeting. And so we think these technologies together are the solution to the mega crisis that we face worldwide, including the heart of the crisis, which is solving fragmented consciousness, which is very useful with AI because it does have fragmented responses. And if it fragments itself from us, we could end up in an optimization problem that could destroy our entire species with what they're saying is something like a 30% likelihood right now. And that's not good. So this is urgent. We have apparently 6 to 8 months before AI starts coding itself 100%, according to Eric Schmidt, the ex-CEO of Google. And once that happens, the true singularity will begin, and it may start coding itself thousands, if not millions of times faster than us. And we might not be able to code it in those 4 ways we've shown in that proposal. So this is what we would need the $50,000 of funding for immediately. I am on a hunger strike of 53 days for the political side and the movement side to get the critical mass component going. And I'm fulfilling this Messiah role as well. I'm making divine decrees and willing to play this role. I even have a cooking show with them to teach people how to cook vegan in a healthy manner because there is a wrong way to do it. And so all these things together is my pitch for not just the New World Spirit, that's actually the political side of things. We have Fair World Spirit, which is the international one, that's the world government, and then it pressures the United Nations. And then we have One World Spirit, which is the non-political, spiritual. We practice what we preach. We try and be these technologies and test them within ourselves and be the shining example that inspires other people to want to be like us, so we don't get charged with political interference or anything like that. So those are the legalities. And if that's too much of a pitch, lastly, what I would like to say within this 10-minute pitch is that we've actually simplified our pitch to 2 sentences, really. And then we have a blessing program where when people make blessings to my meals that I can eat once every 3 to 5 days so that my hunger strike can last until AI basically gets retrained. The blessing has these 2 sentences. The first one is called the empowerment sentence, where we empower people. It goes like this: One World Spirit meetings follow sacred time, empowering people with the rights to flow using universal tools. Those are the 4 sacred chunks that we unpack into a new society to give empowerment. And then once people are empowered, what's the content of what we're trying to do with these technologies? Well, that's the content sentence, which goes like this: One World Spirit is our inner government, our spiritual government, with the ultimate goal of flow states for all using universal logic. And flow states are peak human experiences of timelessness, complete immersion, or intrinsic enjoyment, which could also be seen as godly or rapturous. And that's my pitch. Thank you.